What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to MLB Swing for the Fences baseball show here on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel. Sunday morning, August 10th, joined as always on Sundays by Third and Schlong. Bryce, how you doing on this Sunday morning?
Oh, couldn't be better. Next couple Sundays, I likely won't be on the show because going to UFC in Chicago and then U.S. Open out in New York, kind of getting a little sports travel at least, out of the way before we dive into football season. So, I personally love Sundays for baseball. I've really enjoyed doing the show this year, and I feel like it's always been a good day for us.
Yeah, I do love Sundays as well. We got some good comments in the chat, as expected with my new background today.
DC is literally in mom's basement.
Literally in mom's basement. So, the jokes have been flying for years that I live in mom's basement. And today, it is true. I am in mom's basement for one day here on the way up to northern Minnesota. So, pit stop at the parents, and here I am. Not 9 games to talk about. We do have the early start as well, Bryce. DraftKings, for whatever reason, they don't seem to do this normally, but they did include the 1:05 Eastern Time Minnesota Twins and Royals game. So we do have a lot coming up here, and instead of making fun of my dungeon background, we'll talk some baseball. So let's jump into the first game of the show, which is, of course, that Royals and Twins game in Target Field in Minnesota. Should be really good hitting weather here. I'm seeing one of the better hitting environments on the slate, and two, I think, very bad pitchers going. Jose Urena for the Twins, Ryan Bergert for the Royals. We were talking a little pre-show. Might be a disagreement right off the bat from us, Schlong, because it sounds like you maybe have less interest in this game than I do, but I think we're going to see runs in this game from both sides. So I'm in on Twins and Royals. Really, the bats from both sides. The Twin side is the one I like a little bit better, but I do think you could play either side of this game offensively. No interest in these pitchers for me. Talk to us, Royals and Twins, to kick off the slate.
Yeah, I meant more like pitching when we were talking pre-slate. I do have hitters in this game. I consider them in 3 and 5 mans here. It's a situation I want to be over on. As you said, it's nice weather in Minnesota. These pitchers are absolutely atrocious.
Yeah,
I would give the edge to the Royals here, but I like the Twins bats as well. And, the Twins are so dirt cheap on this slate. It kind of lets you do whatever you want with your second stack and get Zach Wheeler, because I'm sure that you're going to be wanting to play him today. We haven't discussed him, but they're pretty affordable. I'd include Witt and everything. Witt is not in the lineup with the Royals today, which is another one of the reasons that Kevin says. Which is another one of the reasons I kind of like the Twins. It does make the Royals a lot cheaper to stack, but it takes out a lot of the upside in the Royals stack, in my opinion. So I would lean towards the Twins side of this game. Fine in 3 and 5 mans. Favorite hitters would be Clemens, Kershaw, and pick another one.
The Royal starter Ryan Bergert has, at least so far, it's a small sample size, but some pretty severe reverse splits where he's been hit really hard by right-handed bats. So I'm even including Austin Martin at the top of the lineup. He's
absolutely 2,100.
He's a prospect with a little power, a little speed. Clemens has nuked righties, and then Jefferson, Kershaw from the right side as well. They're cheap. So I think both these lineups, you mostly want the top 4. Honestly, 1 through 4 look like good bets for both sides of this one. So we're both in on Twins and Royals here. Looks like a pretty good spot for these offenses. The pinch hit risk for the Twins it still exists for some of these hitters, but I don't think for the top. I think the top 4 are safe. Rodon hitting 5th, I think, is a pinch hit risk, and then Ryan Fitzgerald at the bottom. But the Twins are, they traded a bunch of pieces at the deadline. They're officially out of the race, so they are kind of letting these youngsters play. And I do think the top half of the lineup for both of these sides pretty safe from pitch hit risk, and I think those are the better hitters on both sides anyway. So it does look like a game we should see offense in, starting off in Minnesota today. Let's go to the next game on the slate, Miami and Atlanta. Potentially, yeah, should be fine, I think. Maybe a little rain, but I think this game should be just fine in Atlanta for, I think, another pretty decent spot for bats. No Agustin Ramirez in the lineup for the Marlins, which hurts them a little bit against the lefty Joey Wentz going for the Braves, who I don't think is any good. Problem is this Marlins lineup is watered down a little bit. But as much as the Braves have kind of hurt us all season and even the last couple of years, I do like them today, Schlong, against Cal Quantrill. Very, very hittable pitcher. Been a guy that we've stacked against for years. And, this lineup pretty affordable as well with some of the guys they're missing. Matt Olson, really the only expensive bat at all in the whole lineup, the only guy over 3,700. So Braves side looks pretty good to me here. What are you looking at, Schlong, with the Braves and the Marlins?
Yeah, definitely prefer the Braves side of the stack. I think Wentz is in play at pitcher too. We'll get to your Orioles here in a second, but I think Povich is going to be like the chalk cheap guy.
Yeah.
I think Wentz is a decent pivot off him at much lower ownership. Just kind of like him as an alternative down low. And, if I'm playing three teams, I'd probably have one Wentz. He'd probably come in around 20 to 25% if I was MME in the slate. I am playing one lineup, so I'm kind of trying to decide while we're on the show, talk through it, who my second pitcher will be today. And Wentz is definitely in the conversation for me. Moving over to the Braves bats. I mean, outside of Olsen, this team's incredibly cheap against Quantrill, who I don't hold in any regard here. I think they make sense as 3-mans, 5-mans. Like Ozuna, Murphy, I would probably prefer them as smaller stacks, actually. Like Ozuna, Murphy, and then like Olsen, Profar. You can even throw Michael Harris in there. Another dirt cheap team, kind of similar to the Twins, in my opinion, today, just in terms of like pricing and stuff and how I want to stack them. So the Braves rate out pretty highly for me today.
Yeah, a couple of people mentioning Marcell Ozuna, our guy Stevers, P. Lally, of course. And yeah, Ozuna, he kind of struggled for a lot of the season, a veteran player. But I think he was playing through, I think it was a hip injury that he was playing through for most of the season. They gave him a bunch of time off, like kind of an every other day type thing for the last couple of weeks. And he's been on fire these last couple of days. So he is a player who I do think is prone to hot streaks, just the type of hitter that he is. And appears to have his power back right now. So I do agree. Ozuna looks good. I think Harris, Murphy, Profar. I mean, really this whole lineup is cheap. Olsen, obviously the best overall hitter in the lineup. So the Braves, somewhat scarily, I guess, do look good to me here. Did you end up on any Marlins bats? I missed that part.
Not particularly. I prefer Wentz side here.
The Braves, I don't love Wentz as a pitcher, but the matchup is good, and the Braves are treating him as a full starter. They're letting him go. 95 pitches in each of his last two starts, 7,200 against the Marlins. Good chance at a win if he pitches well, too, because we do think the Braves are going to put up runs. I do think he makes sense as a little bit of a contrarian, cheaper pitching option. So I do like that call a little bit on Joey Wentz. We will keep it moving. The A's and the Baltimore Orioles up next. We've got on the mound here. Don't have my normal setup, so I'm a little all.
Oh, no, you're good. We got Luis Morales going for the A's. He seems kind of more like an opener to me. And then we got Cade Povich going for the Orioles, who I think is going to come in pretty chalky in kind of a tough pitching environment today.
Yeah, I think so too. So we'll talk about Povich first, because we got the Saber sim pulled up here now. They do have him, as Saber at least does. These are the default Saber sim projections, as the best overall point per dollar value on the slate, and then coming around 17% ownership. I could see that number being even higher. I get it with Povich Schlong, but this is the type of chalk that, maybe you try to get off of and maybe get some leverage against, right? Specifically Rooker and Langoliers right at the top of that lineup, that 1-2 spot. If you're not on Povich, I think they make a lot of sense they're just good plays, but then you also get the leverage against not a very good pitcher, frankly. So talk to us.
Yeah. Could not agree more.
Yeah. A's and Orioles here.
I think Povich is kind of bad chalk here. Which is kind of why it was one of the reasons I was recommending Wentz. It's pretty easy to get direct leverage too. You've seen the ball it's absolutely flying here in Baltimore.
Yeah.
With this weather they have throughout the series, it's not quite as good today, but it's still a good hitting environment overall. Heavy lean towards the A side here. Just because of the leverage you're going to get on Povich. You're not going to get any leverage by playing Baltimore hitters, but you will by playing Oakland hitters. It's not to say I don't like Baltimore. I just think it's a little game theory type of play there too. And then the A's that I really want are the ones that aren't going to get pinch hit for and are at the top of the lineup. Like Cade Thomas, 2K is very enticing, but I pretty much guarantee if they bring in a righty, he's going to get pinch hit for. But Lawrence Butler will come in for him. I would think 100%. They're not cheap, but we have a lot of cheap stacks that we've highlighted for you already. I think the Braves are a great cheap stack. I think Minnesota's a great cheap stack. So not that hard to get in, and it automatically gets you different and off pitching chalk. So big fan of the A's bats here, especially the top 3 in the order.
Yeah.
And I think my favorite cheap play from the lineup would be Urshela and Hernandez.
I agree with
I'm
that.
Not really sure.
Yeah.
How to say his name. Orioles side, I do like the Orioles here. I'm only playing one lineup today. I'm likely not getting them in my main team. It's still a pretty good spot for them. The A's traded away, Mason Miller, their bullpen's not what it was before the trade deadline. So I'm fine going against them in a bullpen game here. Orioles prices have started to come up some. They're not quite as cheap as they were for a while. I think Mountcastle is the best price per dollar play out here at only $3K. But I like all the top 5 a lot. The lineup just kind of falls off a lot after Mountcastle.
Yeah, we could potentially see a lot of runs in this game, right? I could see either side kind of going off. The A's, Luis Morales just not any good. And the Orioles like you mentioned, have been eating up. Good spot to hit. I think the second best ballpark overall for offense today. So looks like a really good spot. But I'm with you. The A side, specifically going up against Povich. If you're not on him, I do think makes some sense. But yeah, you have a problem with playing Povich at that number, 15, 20% owned? I think he's fine.
I think he comes in higher than that.
Yeah. Sounds like you're kind of on the getting leverage.
I think Povich comes in 30%, to be honest. So, if he comes in at 15, I would play some Povich here. But, if he comes in at 30, I think that would be bad chalk.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you're kind of banking on more people going to play Povich.
There are expensive hitters you want to get in. Everyone's going to want to play Wheeler. He just kind of fits well with a lot of lineup constructions too at 6K. And he projects well across the industry, not just our projections, not just Sabres projections. Everyone has him high.
Yeah, makes sense. And those pitchers that project well across the industry usually come in higher owned than what the ownership projections say they will. So I think you're probably right on Povich, which makes some sense to get on some of those A's bats for people not using him. If you need to use him, he fits your lineup. I think he's fine, even at a higher ownership. But playing against.
Yeah, he's not like a guy I'm clicking off. I'm going to play 15%. I'm not MME today. If I was, he'd probably come in around right where Wentz is for me, 15, 20% type of deal.
Makes sense to me. We'll keep it moving to the Yankees and the Houston Astros. This one is in New York, and I think looks like a really good spot for these, specifically the Yankees lefties, which is honestly most of their lineup. Jason Alexander, I've talked about him before on the show. He's got some severe splits, not only this year in the big leagues in limited innings, but all this year in the minors, like a 250-point OPS split. And last year it was true as well. So it does appear to be a real thing with Alexander. You can also steal bases against him. And I think the Yankees tee off today. They are my favorite stack on this slate. And then Max Fried going on the other side. I think a pretty decent spot. I mean, this Astros lineup, really not very scary. I'm not a huge believer in, well, I am a believer in Fried, but I'm not a huge fan, I guess I should say, of playing him in DFS. But I do think on this slate, even at 10-7, 24% here from Saber does feel pretty high for Max Fried to me. But I do think he's a reasonable play. Certainly like Wheeler better if we're spending all the way up. And I don't know if I can get both of these guys in. Where'd you end up on Fried and the rest of this game, Schlong?
Fried, I kind of struggle what to do with. He's the type of pitcher I want to be over when he's going to be super low owned. Like, I don't really think anyone's going to be playing Fried here. I think that 25% is too high.
I agree.
With Wheeler on the slate, and it's super hard to play both of them. I think Fried comes in 10%, maybe up to 15. But I kind of want to get to like 20-25% Fried, which is like I want to be around 2x on him, to put it simply. So I like Fried a good amount here against Houston. And that's just kind of like an upside thing. I don't think there's a ton of arms that have a lot of upside outside of Wheeler on this slate, and he's one of them. Getting to the Yankees bats, I couldn't agree with you more on the Yankees. They're not a cheap stack, but we do have cheap hitters to fit in with them. Basically, the lefties plus Judge is where I want to go here. So yeah, I was kind of deciding between. Like, I wish I had more than one lineup ranked, because I would love to play the Yankees and the A's. It's just a little harder to do that. So I think you kind of have to go to a cheaper second stack if you're playing the Yankees. But I do like them here. Lefties plus Judge. I would agree that they are my favorite stack of the day.
Yeah, they look good. And against Alexander, what you want lefties with power. And then if you can, you want him to have speed too. So there's two guys specifically on the Yankees, I believe, that are hitting back-to-back. Yeah, Jazz and Jason Dominguez, I think, are the two best plays if you're narrowing it down even further. But I do think really this whole lineup looks pretty good to me. And obviously, I don't think you have to include Judge just because there is like 5 other Yankees to play, right? Like there is more than, more options than just the star. But obviously including Judge makes some sense. Although Judge, it's been a while since he's done some damage, even coming back from that injury before that. And then when he's been back too, it's been a little bit of tough sledding. I don't think that'll last long for Judge, but it is at least something to note, and obviously doesn't get the platoon advantage. And then, this Astros lineup, really ugly, right? This is a good spot for Max Fried. He's overpriced, but on this slate, if you can fit him in, I do think he makes some sense. Just given the
I love playing overpriced pitchers who on a slate where the second pitcher is really tough. Yeah, like good overpriced pitchers.
Makes sense, and there is plenty of value on this slate for sure. We're going to see that really a lot of the rest of the way this year with teams calling up younger players. As we get closer to the end of the season, you'll see plenty of good values from rookies and second-year players, that type of thing, for sure, as we go along. Let's go to Pittsburgh next for the Reds and the Pirates. We've got Mike Burrows going for the Pirates, Zach Littell for the Reds, both throwing from the right side. We've got Saber up here. Both these guys projected by Saber for around 10% ownership, which makes sense to me, at least for Littell, who I do like quite a bit against this Pirates lineup. I don't think I can get to Mike Burrow, so a little interesting to me that their ownerships are projected to be close to the same. I don't love the hitters in this one, Schlong, but talk to us. What do you see between the Reds and the Pirates?
Probably one of the games I'm going to be lower on. In general here. We've kind of been talking up a lot of offenses here. Kind of just pitching for me, really. I prefer Littell to Burrows. Me too. I'd probably have about 15 to 20% Littell and probably around 10% Burrows. I wouldn't absolutely eliminate like one-offs. Like Cruz can nuke anyone, like both of the Cruzes, Ellie and O'Neill. So I don't hate them as like one-offs that are going to be completely unplayed. And, small stacks you can include, like dirt cheap batters around them you can include. So I don't hate them as like small stacks. I don't think you're getting the leverage that you're getting with the A's here, but not a game I'm super high on in general.
Yeah, that makes sense between the Pirates and the Reds. Neither of us like it a ton. I will say Littell, I do think is one of the better pitching plays on the slate. He feels safe to me against the Pirates, and then a little bit of upside. The Reds are going to let him go. I think he's going to be a 90 to 100 pitch type of guy pretty much every time out, and I think they'll rely on him for innings. So anytime you can get that type of pitcher against the Pirates, who's a decent arm talent-wise, I think they're a pretty strong play on I think a pretty tough pitching slate. There's not a ton of options that I like a lot. So Littell certainly on the short list for me. Let's go to the second half of the slate. We go to Detroit for the Tigers and the Angels. Be hot and humid in Detroit, so should play fairly hitter friendly in this one. Seeing talk about the Detroit lefties against Jack Kohanowitz makes sense to me. Casey Mize, I think kind of overpriced all the way up there at 8,800, but high strikeout potential at least against the Angels. Talk to a schlong, Tigers and Angels here.
Tigers, Angels. I think the Tigers bats are in a really good spot here. Yeah. I don't want anything to do with the pitching. I love playing pitchers against the Angels. Just because they strike out so much. But I wouldn't completely click off Mize or anything, but he's probably a 10% play for me at this price. It's just kind of hard to get to these guys when you're playing Wheeler. I'm playing one team, I'm playing Wheeler. If I was MME, I would consider locking Wheeler. I think he's that much ahead of the field today. So it's more of a pricing thing on Mize. If he was 7,800, I'd be all over him. 8,800, a little bit tougher pill to swallow. Don't want anything to do with this Angels clown. The issue with the Tigers is they pinch hit a decent amount here. Colt Keith, will get pinch hit for, and he's one of the better plays. Those are plays that I never hand click in, but would include in my low dollar MME pool. Just because he can still do well even if he has some pinch hit risk. If they absolutely nuke him, maybe he doesn't get pinch hit for.
There's a reason he's leading off because the matchup is so good to start the game for him.
Yeah,
he's going to get 2 or 3 at bats probably at least. Yeah. So
yeah. It's not a safe play by any means, but I like the Tigers a good amount here. Glaber, Green, Torque, Carpenter, and then Dylan Dingler fits kind of a tough. I don't think catcher is that tough today. There are some good catcher plays out there today, but I don't mind the Dingler.
Yeah, what are we looking at on ownership for these Tigers? Yeah, I'm seeing 5 to 10% for this stack.
I think they come in higher.
Yeah,
to be honest, with the team total that the Tigers have,
makes sense. Maybe 15%, something like that on the Tigers.
Yeah.
Could be.
And then we had a question here about Angels bats. I kind of raced over them. I prefer them in smaller stacks today. Neto is my favorite bat here, but don't mind them in small stacks at all. You might get a little bit of leverage on Mize. People love playing pitchers against the Angels. He's just too expensive to get real leverage.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And sounds like you're mostly out on Mize. Just too expensive, I think, at 8,800.
Yeah, MME, I'd include him just because I do think he has strikeout upside here. But not a pitcher I'm actively targeting.
Makes sense to me. Let's get to the next game on the slate. It is the White Sox and the Guardians. This one in Chicago. We've got 2 mediocre right-handers here. Davis Martin, he's got pretty big splits, gets hit hard by lefties. The Guardians do have 4 of them to lead off the game. Kwan, Schneemann, Ramirez, Manzardo. I think that's a pretty interesting stack for a warm, humid day in Chicago. We should see the ball flying pretty well today. And then Slade Ciccone going for the Guardians. I don't think he's the worst pitcher in the world. I did look at him as a potential option on the slate. I kind of put him in the Mize bucket, Schlong, where if he was cheaper, I think he'd be interesting at 8,500. It's a little much, but this matchup certainly a strong one against the White Sox. So Ciccone, at least in consideration for me, but it's the Guardians bats that I think is the most interesting thing in this game, specifically those top four that I mentioned. What about you? What do you see between the Guardians and the White Sox here?
Definitely prefer bats to pitching in this game. Obviously prefer the Guardians to the White Sox. Ramirez is one of the best bats on the slate, if not the best bat. I think it's kind of him and Judge are the two top bats on the slate. He's running in this matchup. Guardians are easily stackable. He's the only expensive one. I think they have some stolen base upside here. Just a really good spot for Cleveland. I like 3 and 5 mans, and I would include Ramirez in whatever you do. Moving over to the White Sox. Slade, I don't particularly love him at 8.5. I don't mind White Sox bats, to be honest. I definitely prefer them in 3 mans, but I think they're cheap with some upside here. So my favorite bat of them would be Tauchman, Benintendi, and Colson Montgomery, kind of the lefties.
Yeah, Montgomery, the rookie, been crushing it recently. Kind of under the radar, obviously playing for the White Sox, but he's got some big power and could certainly take advantage of it here. So I'll throw Luis Robert in the mix too. He's got power, speed. I think the White Sox do make some sense if you need salary savings, a cheaper stack. Matchup's good, park is good, and they're cheap. So why not go to some of these White Sox bats? Makes sense to me. Let's go to Milwaukee for the Mets and the Brewers. Quinn Priester going for the Brewers. Kind of another under the radar type of pitcher this year in general. Pitched really well for the Brewers, but no discounts anymore, Schlong. Quinn Priester up to 9,700, which is certainly a bit of sticker shock, at least for me. I just don't think I can pay that price for him. I definitely can't pay that price for him against the Mets. And then Sean Manaea, pretty good pitcher at times, but missed almost all this season. Came back, about a month ago now. He's been okay since returning, but hasn't exceeded 86 pitches. Hasn't made it through 6 innings yet, and you're paying for him at 9,400 against a Brewers team that obviously has done a ton of damage throughout the second half of this year. So I think both these pitchers off of my list. Not crazy about the bats. I do think the Mets lefties have some upside, but they're expensive as well. Probably not going to end up with a ton of this game myself. What about you, Schlong? Mets and Brewers.
One of my least favorite games. I think you could play some Mets lefties against Priester, and I think that's about it. Manaea and Priester would both make my pool just because nobody's going to play them. We have them at 5% owned. I kind of like playing, as I mentioned with Fried, and I would much rather play Fried than this guy, but same theory applies. Like overpriced pitchers who I consider to be pretty good. I like to play on a slate like this that's devoid of any type of mid-tier second pitchers. So like people are either going up or down. They will always go down with Wheeler on the slate. So they would make my pool 10 to 15% each. Don't really like hitters here much. Kind of just glaze over this game. If I was playing any Mets, I would definitely include Soto in that. I think he's really seeing the ball well right now. Not much. One of my least favorite games is the slate.
Yeah, Soto's been awesome. It's at Mets top of the order that I think you want to get to if you are trying to get.
Yes, 100. The good Mets bats. It really does fall off.
Yeah, I think you got to pay for those guys if you're trying to go against Priester, which I don't think is a bad idea. I don't think he's quite as good as his stats show, and you'll get those.
I would I'd rather have leverage with, say, the A's against Povich than play weird expensive guys would be like the A's or the Mets. I'd rather play the A's because you're getting leverage on Povich. You're not getting any leverage on Priester.
Yeah, and honestly, I'd argue it's a better spot for those A's bats. Either you're paying up for them either way. So yeah, makes sense to me. I love those A's. top of the order bats for sure, but Mets look okay too if you for people playing multiple lineups. Let's get to the last game of the slate. We've talked a lot about Zach Wheeler kind of in passing in comparison to other pitchers. I'm with you at 11-4 for Zach Wheeler. Anytime a pitcher gets that expensive in a good but not perfect matchup against a okay Rangers team, I don't think they've become a must play, but Wheeler clearly the best option, I think, on this slate overall. One point of concern, he did have one of his worst starts. Well, no, that's not true. He's been pretty good. Did give up 3 home runs in his last start. The more concerning thing is they pushed him back from Friday to Sunday with a sore shoulder. Probably fine, but Wheeler would be a guy to pitch through some injury or soreness. So it wouldn't shock me if he's less than 100% here, but I think I'm just going to kind of roll the dice and hope that he's good to go, just because there's just not that many great options on this slate. Looks like we'll see Wheeler, as the chalk. So 40, 45, 50% owned, something like that for Wheeler. It's a big number for an expensive pitcher, but I still think he's worth playing. I think you're in agreement. Corbin, it's been pretty solid himself. Going to get some ownership here. I really haven't jumped on the Corbin train all year, and I don't think this is going to be the day I do it either. So probably not going to play him. Don't mind the Philly bats against him, of course. I think Corbin's still very much a pitcher you can stack against. Talk to us about Zach Wheeler and the rest of this game, Shalon, because I do think it's a big decision whether or not to play expensive and chalky Zach Wheeler.
I'm playing expensive and chalky Zach Wheeler. I don't see tons of alternatives here. I haven't projected so far ahead of any other pitcher. I'm willing to take some risk that his shoulder is not feeling 100%. All the props and stuff kind of indicate that. I mean, everyone thinks he's going to be good to go for this.
I think that's by far the most likely, but figured I'd mention he did.
It's definitely worth mentioning. That would probably take me off of locking him in 150. I'm not playing 150. I'm just playing a main team. He'll be on it. Going to look to get different elsewhere. Phillies bats and Corbin. I do like playing lefties against the Phillies sometimes, but I don't think this is the spot for Corbin. 7,800. I'd just rather get to some of the expensive guys I'd mentioned, or like go down to like a Wentz or even a Povich.
Yeah. Any bats in this one for you?
Not on the Texas side. On the Phillies side here, I don't hate playing the Phillies. Like Schwarber hits lefties so well. Like Trey Turner, I think is a good contrarian spend. Play 2 of them and then the cheap one. Small stacks only. Kind of similar to like the Mets for me in terms of like how much I would like them, and in the argument for playing them against like getting leverage on Povich.
It's it seems like there's a bunch of teams today where we're kind of looking at mostly the top half, kind of the studs for their lineup, and then maybe kind of fill out with value bats as one-offs if you need them. But for at least stacks and mini stacks, it does make sense for most of these teams to stick to the top half of the lineups. That is all 9 games on the DraftKings slate. We'll go over stacks, pitching, favorite plays, and then we'll do a pick 6 to wrap the show up before we finalize our lineups with lock coming up in less than half an hour now. Let's there we go. Just gotta let's go over the slate DFS wise before the pick 6 Schlong. Let's do pitching first. What's your preferred pitching combination on DraftKings today?
I'm going to go with I'm trying to decide between Wentz and Fried here for second pitcher. Obviously, you can't spend on bats if you do the Fried pairing, so I'm going to go with Wheeler and Wentz.
Wheeler and Wentz. Wheeler for me, but he'll be joined by Zach Littell. In my core over on Run Pure Sports. I I like Wentz too. I think that makes sense. I do think Littell is the better pitcher between the two. I think the matchup's pretty close, so I do lean that slightly, but would have no problem going to Wentz if you need the savings. Povich, I do think is a reasonable play, and then I think Fried growing on me a little bit with just how good that matchup looks against the Astros and the lack of upside, really, I think, for most of the pitchers on this slate. Let's go to stacks. Schlong, your top 3 stacks on the slate.
1 Yankees, 2 A's because of leverage, and then I'm going to go with the Twins. I like the Twins here a good amount. Barely beat out the Braves.
I'm actually very similar. Yankees are clearly my 1, specifically those Yankees lefties with speed. Dominguez and Jazz, my 2 favorites. The Twins I like a ton against Berger. They're cheap. I don't think he's very good. Reverse splits. They've got some of those youngsters look good. And then I'll throw in the Braves against Cal Quantrill. Been swinging it decently. They're cheap outside of Matt Olson, and you do get you can just get the matchup with Quantrill that I think is a good way to go. Let's jump over to pick 6 to wrap up the show. I should have it loaded up on the screen share there. Let's go through it, Schlong. Where do we want to start with pick 6? Any players specifically you want to look at here?
We kind of liked fading Povich here. Look at Povich props.
There we go.
8 picks available for Povich. I'm going to go over 4.5 hits against.
I like that.
It's a 0.8er, but I like that.
I like the Povich call. We both like the Twins bats.
Yeah, we like the Twins and the Yankees here.
What about Austin Martin? All right. I think Austin Martin's getting a knock against Berger with the reverse split. So 0.7 for that, but leading off, I bet he gets 5 plate appearances here. I think he's free from pinch hit risk. Makes sense to me for Austin Martin, who's kind of a line drive type hitter, spray hitter. I think he gets a knock for the Twins. Next pick up, Sean.
Berger. God, they don't have unders on Berger here.
Yeah.
I did like choosing some of those unders. Who else could we go under on? They have unders for Alexander. No, they do not have unders for Alexander.
I got Dominguez up here, who is one of my very favorite plays on the slate. They have
I love Dominguez as well. Let's go over. It's not over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I like that.
Yeah, we'll grab Dominguez there over 1.5 hit, runs, and RBIs for Dominguez. Makes a lot of sense. What do we have? Wheeler's props.
I don't know if I love betting. Maybe we bet some hit or unders here. Do they have Texas hit or unders? I like
Seager wouldn't be the one to go under on. Who's going to suck against?
Jock will get pinch hit for sure.
Yeah, I like that. Let's
see. You can get under a hit.
I like that because he's like a boomer bust type.
Yeah, he's swinging for the fences.
They only have over there.
No, they have under on hits.
Oh yeah, there it is. Less. Yeah. I love that. So we got Jock in there.
Pinch hit risk and Jock. I mean, Jock will be going for bombs as he always does. Like he's the type of he's like a tournament play. He's not like a cash game type of deal here.
You get the full 1x there. I love that call on Jock. That's a good one there. What else do we got here? What else are our favorite plays on this slate? We both love. What about Langoliers leading off? Do some damage.
Yeah, I like Shea.
Yeah,
you should see 5 at bats here. I'm down to go over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs on Shea.
Love it. Got it in there. We got Langoliers over, hits, runs, and RBIs. Peterson under on the hits. Dominguez over, hits, runs, RBIs. Martin over, just needs one hit. And then Povich over on hits allowed. We need one more pick, Slong.
We need one more. You like the Braves. Let's get a Brave in there. Ozuna. We were talking about Ozuna. Or who do you like?
Yeah. Let's go with Ozuna. He was a favorite of the chat, and I like what I've seen from him. I do think he's healthy and good to go. So I like Ozuna to go yard, but let's see. Yeah, let's get a 2.7x there with Ozuna hitting a home run today to cap this one off and give us a little more upside. So yeah, Ozuna, Langoliers, Peterson, Dominguez, Martin, and Povich. All right, Shlong, we got the pick 6. We got NFL football today, right? A little preseason action for people getting involved. And, of course, NFL season in general is coming up fast. We're excited for that over at Run Pure Sports. You can use promo code JBC. 100K win will get you a little bit of a discount. We've got football packages up and going to be a very fun rest of season baseball for sure, but NFL right around the corner. I know we both could not be more excited about that. Any final thoughts, Schlong, before we get on out of here and get to our lineups? 20 minutes to go here.
No, I think it's going to be a good day for RPS members here.
Yeah, I do too. And I'll be back tomorrow with the crew, JT and Big T, where could be a fiery Game Log Monday show. We got a little tension brewing, a little fun tension between the crew. So should be a good one tomorrow. I'm sure we'll see a lot of you guys there. Thanks for tuning in Sunday morning with us. If you have not done so, hit the like button on your way out. We do appreciate that. Good luck to everybody. Enjoy your Sunday. For Schlong, I'm DC. We're out of here.